Hello friends, I welcome you in lecture number 46 on logic. From last 3 or 4 lectures, we are discussing rules of inference for quantified statements, and using them we are determining whether given premises imply the given conclusion or not, or we are able to determine the validity of argument using rules of inference for quantified statements as well as rules of inference for propositions. In this lecture also we are going to discuss one more problem so that we can understand this concept very well. So I have taken this example. Show that the premise is a student in this class has not read the book and everyone in this class passed the first exam. Imply the conclusion: someone who passed the first exam has not read the book. So as usual, first we have to consider some notations, and using those notations we will write down premises and conclusion in symbolic form, and then we will apply rules of inference to check whether given premises imply the conclusion or whether given argument is valid or not. So first we have to see that what they are talking about in this problem. First, if you read this statement, a student in this class has not read the book. So they are talking about two things here, that student is in the class and student has not read the book. So we can use these notations. We can use that C of x denote that x is in this class. X is in this class is denoted by C of x, and we can use B of x to denote that x has read the book. And then if you observe here, everyone in this class passed the first exam, so we can use P of x to denote that x passed the first exam. So these are the symbols we will require to convert these premises and conclusion in symbolic form. So therefore, first we write down the premises in symbolic form. The premises are as follows. First premise is a student in this class has not read the book. So they are talking about some student who is in this class and who has not read the book, or we can say that there is a student who is in this class and that student has not read the book. Or if we use x for notation, then we can say that there is some x such that x is in this class and x has not read the book. So we can use existential quantifier. There exists x such that x is in this class and x has not read the book. X is in this class and x has not read the book. Or we can use this Cx as x is a student in this class also. Or if we consider our domain as the set of all students, then we don't have to consider that x is a student in this class. So we will consider arbitrary domain or arbitrary universe of discourse under consideration. So first premise can be written as there exists x such that x is in this class and x has not read the book, therefore it is negation of Vx. Second premise is everyone in this class passed the first exam. That means if x is in this class that is Cx, then x has passed the first exam. So x has passed the first exam is denoted by p of x, and this is true for all x. So second premise will be for every x in the domain. Domain can be considered as set of all students. So everyone in this class, that is Cx, means every x is in this class and x passed the first exam. So second premise is for all x, C of x implies P of x. Everyone in this class has passed the first exam, therefore we are using universal quantifier. So these are the premises, and now we write down conclusion in symbolic form, and conclusion is someone who passed the first exam has not read the book. Someone means we have to use existential quantifier. So we can say that there exists some x such that x has passed the first exam, that is p of x. There is some x such that p of x, someone who passed the first exam and has not read the book, that is negation of bx. So someone who has passed the first exam has not read the book. So we have to take conjunction of px and negation of bx. This means there is an x such that x has passed the first exam and x has not read the book. In other words, we can say that there is some x such that x has passed the first exam who has not read the book. Now using rules of inference, we have to prove that these two premises imply this conclusion, or if we consider the argument having these two premises and conclusion, then I have to show that that argument is valid. So as usual, our method is we consider steps or statements on left hand side, and here we write down the reason for writing that particular step, and we start with first premise, which is there exists x such that Cx and negation Bx. So I start with there exists x such that C of x and negation of B of x, and reason is we are using first premise, and we have to keep in mind that we want to arrive at this conclusion. So this must be our last step. Now from this I can say that this is true for some x. So suppose it is true for x equal to a, then I can write that C of a and negation of B of a. This means there is some x such that Cx and negation of Bx. So suppose it is true for x equal to a, so we can write in this way. So what we are using existential instantiation of statement 1 or for step 1. So here I will write down existential instantiation on step 1 or on statement 1. We can use brackets if we wish. Now from this I will keep in mind that I want to arrive at this conclusion, and here I have Cx and Px. So first I can use simplification on this, and I can write this as C of a using simplification on 2. Okay, this is rule of inference for proposition. Simplification on 2. Simplification rule of inference says that whenever we have P and Q, then we can write either P or Q as we wish. So this is known as simplification rule of inference. So here I am writing C of A because I require it. After that I am using second premise, which is for all x Cx implies Px. For all x C of x implies P of x, and this is our premise. Now here C of x implies P of x is true for all x in the domain, therefore it is true for x equal to A also, the A which we have written here, because this is true for all x. So I can write C of A implies P of A. So what I am using? I am using universal instantiation. Universal instantiation on step number 4 I have used. Now if you observe step number 3 and 5, then you can see that they are propositions and they are in this form: P and P implies Q, therefore Q. This is our familiar modus ponens rule of inference for propositions. So here you can see, if you compare these 3 and 5 with this, then instead of P I have C of A and conclusion is P of A. So using modus ponens on 3 and 5 I obtain P of A, and I have to write the reason that modus ponens on 3 and 5. Now what I require negation of Bx also. Px is also required. So to get this, we again concentrate on step number 2 and we apply simplification on step number 2. So using simplification on step number 2, we obtain negation of Ba. So here I can write that simplification on step number 2. Again we recall that whenever we have P and Q, then either we can write P or Q as per our requirement. Here I required C of A, therefore I have written C of A. Now I require negation of B of A, therefore I am using that P and Q, therefore Q. So that is using simplification. Now we want to get this: there exists x such that Px and negation of Bx. So if you recall the rule of inference, which is existential generalization, which says that if there is some C for which we have P of C, then we can say that there exists x such that Px. So to arrive at this conclusion, if I can find out some value of x for which P of x and negation of B of x are true, then I can use existential generalization and I can get this conclusion. So now you can see we can apply conjunction on step number 6 and 7, and we will obtain P of A and negation of BA. So what we have applied? We have applied rule of inference known as conjunction on 6 and 7. Conjunction says that whenever I have two variables P and Q, then I will have P and Q. This is conjunction rule of inference for propositions. So what we have obtained? We have obtained that there is some x for which Px and negation of Bx are true. So now I can use existential generalization on step 8. Existential generalization on number 8, and I can write that there is some x such that P of x and negation of b of x, and we arrive at our conclusion. So be careful whenever you have this type of long procedure, and you will be able to do this type of problems by practice, because there is no general rule that which steps we have to consider as or there is no general rule for the sequence of these steps which we have taken here, but we will keep in mind that we want to arrive at which conclusion, and accordingly we will use the required rules of inference and premises. Here we want to arrive at this conclusion where we require px and negation bx, and we are given this premises also. So we started with this premise, and because we know this rule of inference now, so using this rule of inference we write that this is true for some x, suppose it is true for x equal to a. Then using simplification we have written c of a here, because in the next step we have cx here, so I want to use that. Therefore I have first applied simplification and I have written c of a here. Then I have written this premise, and because it is true for all x, it is true for a also, so I have used universal instantiation on step number 4. After that I use modus ponens on 3 and 5 and I get p of a. So this px is required here. Now to get negation of bx, I again applied simplification on step number 2 in the next step, and I obtain negation of ba, and here I require conjunction of p and negation b. Therefore I applied conjunction on these two, 6 and 7, and then using existential generalization I am able to get my conclusion. So in the next step you can write that therefore given premises imply the given conclusion. So in this way you can apply rules of inference for quantified statements, and you can prove that given premises imply the given conclusion, or you can show that given argument is valid. So this is all about this session. I hope you like it. Thanks for watching.